Hey!
Cool. So, should we start?
Absolutely. You just go into it. So my main question was, what were you doing before this, or what have you been doing before this?
Yeah. Okay. So I've been primarily in tech for the last couple of years. I actually went to school for web development.
Okay.
I was terrible at it. I was not a good web developer at all. So I quickly segued into digital marketing. I liked having like a larger picture, but still being involved in a technical element. And then I segued from there into technical project management for e-commerce experiences.
Okay.
Fell in love with e-commerce, and so that's kind of where my passion lies, is in tech, but in that e-commerce segment of tech.
Makes sense.
Yeah. And then while I was working as a PM, wanted to kind of flex my creative side a little bit. I've always wanted to start a company, but didn't really have the right idea, the right product that I was passionate about to really kind of put in the work. It takes a lot of work, as you know. And so I kind of stumbled across an idea, which ultimately ended up being Subtl Beauty, and just worked on that on the side while also working my full-time job up until about August, and now I'm on it full-time.
Nice.
Wow, congrats.
Thank you. Thanks.
So are you gonna be? I want to get like the core thesis. So I showed it to my girlfriend because I was like, explain to me why this is a big deal. Just because obviously I make it on all the time. Like the core idea of it, and then are you pitching a demo day, or is that just Alpha Lab folks?
Just Alpha Lab.
Just Alpha Lab.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So I'm participating in ALG, this cohort, as a kind of a space company. They're splitting it up a little bit differently.
Okay.
So they accepted me into the program because they wanted to support what I was doing, but they actually recommended that I apply to Alpha Lab for their cohort because of where I'm at. I've already got my manufacturers. I'm at the stage where I'm about to execute and launch, and so they think that I'd be better served in Alpha Lab itself for that portion.
Okay.
So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna apply when I find the time during launch, of course.
Yeah. Cool. So can I see it?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm curious what your girlfriend said about it.
She didn't actually give me the report yet. I told her that I was going to see it today, but I was like, follow this on Instagram, like start looking at their stuff and just tell me what's up with it. When the time is
cool.
right. So I don't have the full report yet.
Okay, so basically what it is we're taking essentially your bulky, traditional sized beauty products, which, if you have like a contour palette, it's like this big, or your eyeshadow palette, your face, just like one powder, it's like can fit like in your hand.
Yeah.
And so you put all these like basic necessities together, and it's so much stuff, you can't carry it around with you. And I think that for me, I felt that products were designed for women who do their makeup in the home, but that's not necessarily our reality. I'm constantly doing my makeup in the car, in the bathroom here, so I needed something that's a little bit more portable, and I think a lot of women need that too. So I took this stacking concept where we provide basic product necessities. So we're going to launch with 5 products. Within those products, we'll have different shades to choose from, but you can come to our website and build your own personal stack based on what you need.
Okay.
So say you don't need concealer, but maybe you want lip, cheek, and bronzer. Maybe you have a short stack, or maybe you need all 5. So they're full-size products. Each product will last you up to 2 months of daily use or longer. And it fits in the palm of your hand, of course. Fits in.
It even the makeup bag.
Yeah, exactly. Get rid of the makeup bag. It even fits in my clutch, which I didn't actually. I didn't even try to put it in there until I was in a networking event. And usually when I'm talking about the product, people want to see it.
Yeah.
So I was like, I wonder if I could fit this in my clutch, and it's like the tiniest purse you've ever seen. And it did. It fits. So it just further kind of proves the point.
And so do some people, just so I'm understanding correctly, so some people might just have like bronzer and lip cheek.
Yep.
And it would just be like a 2
That would be
thing?
their stack, yeah.
Okay. Cool. And then is it like modular in the sense that, I've just really been crushing highlighter this month, and like the other ones are still, I don't know, is that a stupid way to say it? But like, All right, I'm gonna replace highlighter, but I still have the other ones in there.
Yep.
Is that how it works? Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, if you're crushing highlighter, come to our website.
Exactly.
Just purchase highlighter and then add that to your stack. So, or even say you buy a full stack,
Okay.
but maybe you're going to a wedding and you like have, I don't know, like the tiniest person, or maybe you just don't want everything, but maybe you get a little shiny at night, you know? You can just take your shine control powder and like you would just take this.
Okay.
And then every stack.
So how does one come off? Let me.
Yeah, so let's take lip cheek. And so you would just have lip cheek. We can also just switch out the lid.
Gotcha.
Cool.
We can also, each stack will have a little applicator
Okay.
at the bottom. So you can kind of create your own. So say you're only taking lip cheek, you can take your little applicator underneath, and then you can put the lid on, and then leave this stuff at home, and then just take this with you.
Gotcha.
So it's customizable at the purchase level, but also at the like use case level
Yeah,
too,
yeah.
depending on what you need it for. So yeah, that's the makeup stack.
I dig it. Very cool.
Thank you. Yeah, it took me, we went through a lot of product iterations, and initially I wanted it to be like both skincare and makeup. There were a couple of design elements that were challenging to work through for a first product launch.
Yeah.
And after talking with women, we found like, okay, makeup is a really big problem that a lot of women share at like a daily level versus skincare. So wanted to launch with makeup first.
Okay.
I interviewed like over 150 women, both via survey and like in person kind of customer discovery to find out what hacks they're creating, like how are they living without something like this right now. So I got a lot of interesting results. And then, what products they use every day, like what would they put in their own stack? And so how I actually came up with the 5 products was truly from sourcing that information from women just telling me like what they need. So a lot of the development has been centered around, honestly, like other women's feedback. It's been, I can't assume everything about what is needed, so I really heavily relied on online communities, social media, and then just like talking with anyone who will listen to figure out what they want. It's like a user-generated product almost.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So I'm once again swimming way out beyond my depth here, but in terms of like the different SKUs for a bronzer,
Yep.
like how many variants are there on
Yeah.
each of like the different levels?
Yeah, so, and it all depends on which products we're talking about. So
Right.
concealer, we have 5 different shades to choose from, and as we get bigger, we'll continue adding to
Right.
that shade range. Lip cheek, we'll launch with 3, and then bronzer, we have 2. So for women who have warm undertones versus cooler undertones,
Okay.
and then we'll have a universal highlighter and then a universal shine control powder.
And are there companies that specifically focus on like we're a bronzer company or we're a lip cheek type of company in the makeup realm, or is that not how it generally works?
Not necessarily, but there are definitely hero products within these brands.
Okay.
So like when you talk about, I'm trying to think like a hero product for, like Glossier, one of their hero products is their Boy Brow, which is a unique product that they launched that typically you can't find at other brands. Hourglass is a brand, and they do really beautiful shimmery powders. That's something that they're typically known for. So I think like yes and no to answer your question.
Yeah.
A bronzer company wouldn't exist, but there may be a brand whose hero product is their bronzer.
Because where my mind's going now with like the modular stuff is something like Keurig, where it started off as Keurig and then like K-Cups, but then Starbucks, Dunkin' Donuts, like they want to fit into the existing kind of like shape that you've created. So
yeah, so I mean that's like, there are a couple of kind of paths we could take once we launch. And one of them I think would be really cool is partnering with these larger brands and having them, much like the K-cup phenomenon, have them provide their makeup in our stack so that when women come to our site, not only do they have different shades to choose from within our brand, but they have different brands to choose from within their stack.
Gotcha. Cool.
I think that'd be really cool, yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And then we also, so even though we have like this little applicator underneath, this can be used for both like powders and creams. We're going to be selling a brush that can essentially like live in the bottom of your purse. Okay. So if you've ever seen the bottom of a woman's purse, it can get kind of gross. Mine like fell over in the car the other day as a side note, and like 2 ibuprofens came out and like cookie crumbs. It was weird. But anyway, so it's really hard for women to keep makeup products in their bag for that reason. It can get a little gross, in particular brushes, but ours, we have a lid so that it can roll around without picking up bacteria. And then, it is also adjustable. So a lot of brands will tell women that they need like 10 different brushes. And we're like, okay, well, no. We want to keep it as simple as possible. So we have this brush that's kind of multi-use. So you can use it for full face powders. So there are powders that you put all over your face, and then there are powders that you're very specific to where you put it on your face. So you want a fuller brush for all over face, and then this brush can be adjustable. So you can get more like precision applications. You can kind of contour with where you need to do it with maybe your bronzer or your highlighter if you want to dab in those certain areas. And then if you want to finish with a shine and control powder, lock in that makeup, you go to full face and you use it. So the idea is to provide women who are used to using brushes with their makeup an option outside of our applicator that they're just most familiar with using, but works in the same capacity that the stack works, and go with you wherever you go and go in your bag and not get gross.
Nice.
Yeah.
Awesome. And given your affinity for e-commerce, I'm assuming you're mostly focusing on direct to consumer in terms of like the initial rollout and everything?
Yeah, we'll be direct to consumer e-commerce. That, like you said, that's kind of my wheelhouse. Truth be told, I just don't know how to get into retail, so I think, being such a small company, focus on what you know, get it right, and then as we grow, like obviously if we can get into retail, we will. But my focus was on the customization, so being able to personalize your stack, I don't know how you could do that today in a retail store experience and control that in the way that I, want to make sure that every woman receives an optimal experience. So,
and how much does a stack like this cost?
So it all depends on on how many products you have in your stack. So each layer, because they're full-size products, they're $20 each. Okay. And so your stack could be $40 all the way up to $100, which is if you have all 5. If you add 6, so a lot of women will use a lighter concealer under eye versus, on the rest of your face. Maybe she has 6 products in her stack, and that would be $120. So it's really up to the individual consumer on how much their stack will be. Thank you. Any other questions?
Other questions? I'm like thinking down the road, other stuff like the K-cups thing. Like I'd imagine, I don't know about how much this stuff gets used, but I know that my sample size of Ashley, one person, loves the box that she gets.
Birchbox.
Birchbox, there it is. And some sort of, but I mean, it's also just like the general use case of makeup is that if you're using it, like it's running out. So subscriptions or something like this, where once you have your setup going, that makes a lot of sense. I'm sure you've already thought about that to some degree.
Well, I love thinking about it because I've been so in the weeds on like just getting to launch, and like all of that stuff seems like, to me, it's like all this fun stuff that I'm not allowed to think about right now.
Right.
But I have thought about it, and I think when you talk about Birchbox, there are 2 different elements. There's this element of sample size products, like trying new things, and then subscription.
Right.
So I think that in terms of subscription, you have to strike a fine balance for beauty. If you're a woman who is purchasing products that you're going to be using each day, that's a little bit different to getting new things shipped to you in a trial kind
Right.
of sense.
I guess it would actually be more like the razor company, or that there's a new toothbrush one, Quip, where they're like,
They'll send you the little
they know there's like the
toothbrush
regular
Yeah.
use type of thing.
I'm a hard customer, by the way. It was one of my favorite.
So yeah, it was more like that. I was just struggling to come up with the example.
Yeah.
I guess I was like tying it more to beauty than to regular use.
Yeah, and I think that to that point, there is definitely a place for subscription for VIP level customers, so
And-
people who use it frequently.
And it also seems like where that gets tricky though is like we all more or less use the same toothbrush, or all more or less use the same razor, but I can see there, well, like I need to tweak this one modular component of it, but once I kind of find my rotation, I don't know what the terminology is, but like that setup, then it starts to make sense on this subscription.
Well, and we can tell you as the customer as well. So we can track your purchase frequency down to the product level or SKU level.
Right.
So we can kind of set something up with you that's like, okay, we know that you're burning through concealer like every 2 months, so we'll send you a new one at like week, 7. Or if you're a crush and highlighter, we can kind of set that up on its own rotation too. I think there's a lot that can be done with subscription. And then, on the other side of Birchbox, it's this idea of like sampling things before you buy it. And samples are such a staple in beauty, in the beauty industry, and in particular in direct-to-consumer e-commerce models, that that's something that we're really looking to be able to roll out with additional funding. So having the option to have these like sample sizes of all of our products, so that say you're shopping on our website and you look at concealer, you look at the PDP, but you only add lip, cheek, bronzer, and highlighter. We can then send a sample of concealer in the shipment of your stack for you to try. Because I don't know why you didn't add concealer, but maybe you were a little bit nervous, right?
Sure.
So like using technology to make the experience easy for the customer and like bring down those barriers.
And when you say sample, you don't mean one of these.
No, it would be like
something much smaller.
like I'm thinking a sample of like all the different concealer shades, because you didn't purchase either because you weren't sure if you liked the formula or you weren't sure how to pick your shade.
Right.
And so, trying to identify those things up front and being able to facilitate a conversation or easier purchasing decision by just giving you what you need. So I think samples can be used, Birchbox obviously used samples as a way to get all these different brands in front of people. We can use samples to help, bridge the gap and bring down those purchase barriers.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So the Kickstarter is going live this week? Is that the
Thursday, yeah.
Nice. And how long, goals? Can you share that?
Yeah, so it'll be a month-long campaign, and our goal is to raise $10,000. Yeah, so really excited for launch. We'll have an early bird opportunity for people who want to back within the first couple of days. We've had a lot of women who have stuck by us like before we even had this like photos of the stack. They were really passionate about it, so we wanted to reward those those women who have stuck by us with a discounted rate, and then they can get their stack earlier than everybody else. So
Awesome.
yeah, they're excited. I'm excited.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
You're in good hands, obviously.
I am.
Yeah.
Definitely am.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, in terms of our media stuff, I mean, this is recorded. This would certainly go up before the Kickstarter is over and continue to raise attention there. And then I think I want to do a podcast. We're a little overbooked right now, if I'm being completely honest. So it would have to be a little bit later in the year, but like that goes without saying that we would. I think this is like a great story.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be awesome. And we'll be launching the actual like product in December, January. So
Okay.
end of year kind of lines up with our timeline. We'll be accepting pre-orders after our Kickstarter too. So
Beautiful.
whenever you can, will really help us a lot.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Cool beans.
Did I miss anything?
I know that there's a million things going on this week with, between like Pittsburgh Fashion Week and Bridal, but we're having a launch party on Thursday night.
Larry and I are speaking that night for LinkedIn Local.
Makes sense.
There's like
I've
every
never-
event in
Yeah.
Pittsburgh is happening this Thursday.
Yeah.
There's two others this Thursday as well. There's some like Instagram creative thing, and then there's something else.
There's the incline for.
Yes, that. Oh my gosh.
Doing something here, like there's something going on, like it's just the most outrageous day ever.
Yeah.
Apparently.
Bizarre.
So
It's
there'll
kind
be-
of big for Pittsburgh though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
get people out, stoke the fire, or there'll be like 15 people at each thing.
Yeah.
Just the same people spread out.
Exactly.
Well, we really appreciate you guys doing this. I think you guys definitely have like your own following, and I think a lot of them could use the product.
Yeah. And there are a lot of different like dynamics or elements to the story that we can touch on that we haven't even.
Can you tell them the real story, please? I know.
The
The
moment
real
I started
story.
talking and I didn't mention it, I was
All right.
see your
Gotta
eyes
spill that.
burning.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's the real story.
Getting the full scoop.
You're like, so it all started in 2016.
It's a dark and stormy night. Yeah.
And I was in, which just reminded me, forgot again. I was in a new relationship at the time.
Okay.
And, we'd been dating like a couple months, but I would stay at his house. But at that same time, I was also traveling to DC for work, so I was maybe spending like 1 or 2 nights at my house a week. So I was like, all right, something's gonna give. Like living out of all these different bags, I need a little bit more like portability in my life. Not just like beauty products, but that was a really big piece of it. And so, when I would stay at his house, I would just take like a small bag, like a crossbody bag. And those are the ones that go around and then so they're like maybe like this big, like this wide.
Right.
And so I was like, okay, well, like when he picks me up for dates, it's not like the spoken thing where it's like, oh, I'm gonna stay at your house later. It's like, oh, we're gonna go to dinner. So like if he picks me up, I couldn't like pop the trunk and like put my overnight bag in.
Exactly.
So I was just like being a little coy, So I'm like, okay, how much stuff can I fit in this crossbody bag where like it wouldn't be weird, but like I have what I needed. And so beauty products was like a big part of that because you like need to wash your makeup off at night.
Right.
And then if you don't want to like break out or anything, you need to have moisturizer. And then I didn't want to look like crazy. I was still trying to show them that I'm put together the next morning. So like basic makeup necessities. So anyway, I looked online and trying to like find something like a kit or like something small, and couldn't really find anything. So I bought 2 empty contact cases. And I filled them with like a cleanser, a moisturizer, a BB cream, which is just like, it evens your skin tone, and then a lip cheeks, a little bit of color so I don't look like I'm sick. And and my friends and I joked about it, we called it Ho On To Go. So I would have like my Ho On To Go kit, and we would like text back and forth, like when my friends, they'd be like, oh crap, like I didn't take my makeup off, and when you don't take your makeup off, it like runs, and it looks like, we call it raccoon eyes, it's so well known, thing, ladies, right? Yeah. And I'd get text messages like, raccoon eyes, need that Ho On To Go. And so it was like this big running joke, and then, like I said, I was traveling at the time for work, and I actually found myself like packing like my Ho On To Go in my carry-on bag because it was just so much easier, and it was like everything I needed in like 2 contact cases instead of trying to track down like 4 products. And it was tiny, so I could like pack more shoes, more clothes, And it was actually like a couple of months went by. I didn't really think much of it. I was just like, this is just this thing that I have, and everyone's like making fun of me. And I would like keep getting text messages from my friends in like all the different ways. Like they would just text me every time. They'd be like, could really use that Ho On To Go right now. And I think it was like at that point I was like, okay, maybe I have something here.
Yeah.
And so I started talking with women, and my one friend, I was like, so I have this thing, Ho On To Go. And she's like, well, all I don't know about all that. She's like, but I would love to have something like this in my work bag. She's like, I don't do anything with this in the morning before I leave, but it'd be really awesome to be able to use like my 10 minutes at 11 a.m. in the bathroom to like actually like get myself like, you know, looking good and like feeling confident to go about the rest of my day. And that was the moment where I was like, okay, let's like broaden this out and let's, you know, there's a bigger use case outside of like adult sleepovers here for something like this. And so that's kind of how how I kind of steered Ho on the Go to Subtl Beauty. Slight difference, slight change in branding.
I mean, there's such an opportunity here. I'm sure you've thought down all these methods, but like, not that it would be like your Ho on the Go story, but like your your makeup on the go story with different women. Either like have them tell it, give it to them. Oh my gosh, authentically, why this would make sense.
Yeah.
But in the same, like, I don't have that because I'm not as particular as everyone else in the room. But like the same, like that type of content is gonna work. That type of content is really gonna work and be relatable as long as you're comfortable with that voice. Like the one thing I sensed when she was like, oh, I don't, like I totally get that. But if you get comfortable with that voice, that's what is gonna resonate with people more so than everything else.
I'm just coming into the Ho on the Go story. I was like, it was one of those things where it was like, only the people involved will ever know this was ever Ho on the Go. And then, like, truth be told, I'd like get drunk in parties and tell everybody. Right. And like, people loved it. And I felt like the most confident talking about Subtl Beauty in that context. Yeah. And like it's a little bit raw, but it's like
there's an evolution to that though. Like I don't have the exact word in my head right now yet, but like when you said that for 95% of other potential consumers, like kind of on like, this use case for me would make it work. That's what.
And that's kind of how the product came to be, right? Is because I introduced the Ho on the Go story, and women were able to take that and be like, well, okay, like that makes sense, but here's exactly how I would apply it to all these other different.
Exactly, and that's the difference between selling the features, selling that, and selling the story, because the story is. Yeah, that was it.
That was Ho on the Go.
I love it. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And then like Subtl Beauty was gonna be, so it's spelled Subtl Beauty. Because I was at work, had a little downtime, and I was like, what do I call this thing? Like I need a name before I can start talking about it. And Subtl Beauty came to me because it's like, okay, you can like fit your entire beauty routine like in the smallest bag. It's subtle. Yeah. And I typed it into Google and I misspelled it. And was like, that's it. So it's just, you know, the naming has always been an interesting story from day one. Yeah, so thank you. And I like your take on video content. I think that's something that we're really trying to. It's scary. Being in front of a camera is not, well, you do it all the time, so
I'm a narcissist.
I'm just sort of getting used to it.
Yeah.
It's important. It's really important.
Yeah, the biggest thing is reps. Like, we do these talking head videos where you just like look directly in the camera and talk for 2.5 minutes.
That's the scariest part.
It is.
The only reason that I can do that is because I've literally, like, you want to talk about nails on a chalkboard, listened to myself in podcast interviews for over 300 episodes speaking. Every verbal tick, every weird thing that I do, mistake that I make, time I've misspoken, I've heard.
See, I was kind of going to take the approach of don't listen to any of it and you won't get inside your head, but I know that I'm missing that element of like... There's
some... I'm actually not going to go that direction because it's like, I'm not sure to say it, like there's...
Go on, I told him to go.
I literally got like a tongue lashing yesterday for trying to like use fancy words will do, but like there's a Robert Frost quote, I think it's Robert Frost, for the simplicity on this side of complexity, I wouldn't give a fig, but for the simplicity on the other side of complexity, I would give my life. Okay. And the idea there is that people want to make things simple all the time, and they think that like just simple is the way, but often that's misleading.
Yeah.
But for the simplicity on the other side of all this complexity that we're facing, that's like really where the magic is. And for something like that, when you're talking about the head trash, what you're doing is you're kind of staying on this side of the complexity. We'll just keep it simple, out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah.
But the absolute best at just like the people who are media trained, who they turn it on, you know, for all his obnoxious, like Stephen A. Smith on SportsCenter, or one of these characters that they just go on the camera and they go, and you don't know how they do it. It's all because they traversed that. And there's like, comedians who listen to their entire set back, which I can imagine, like hearing them bomb in a club. But that's like a well-known trope within media of watching your film and seeing what you're doing. And that's like the other side of it. And Hannah's working through that right now. Like we put out a video of her just messing up and like
It was
screaming cuss words.
20 whole minutes of me just not being able to get through a 2-minute
Oh my God,
point.
that was my founder video.
Yeah.
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 But it's like that's just paying your dues in that small realm.
Well, I think it's like really brave to be able to do that. It's like staring fear in the face and be like, I'm gonna witness me in like my most vulnerable kind of states and have to hear it over and over. And I think that's hard. But I think there's a time and a place for that. I think like for me, I need to be doing these interviews. I need to be like putting myself out there. I think there's a time period where I just need to do it. And then I can kind of refine, because I'm scared if I refine, like if I look back tomorrow, it's going to make me not want to, talk about what's there.
Yep.
Something like that.
Yep.
So there's a fine balance that you have to identify, I think, within yourself.
Absolutely.
Like how much you can kind of like handle in that moment and then kind of take it and tackle it.
Exactly.
It's a balancing act. But I commend you for for doing that and then for you as well.
Still working on it.
Together that video.
Yeah.
Exactly. But yeah, I think that you have potential, whenever the time for potential gold in just like having people come in and having a competition. If there's like a focus group of 4 women, that would be
or
absolutely
like
awesome.
even to get it like even more in their element, like have them generate the content. It doesn't need to be this.
That's what I really like to see happen is, all of these women that are going to receive their stacks after the crowdfunding campaign is over, I want them to share with us how they're using it. Because even if we have a round table of 10 women, we're still not going to find all the different elements. I want to see like the women
out in the wild.
In the bathroom, like in their car.
In the plane when the person next to you is like judging you hardcore and you're like trying to put your makeup on because you're like about to go to a meeting when you
When
land.
you're looking at your laptop before the meeting starts.
If you can figure out the camera or in like the laptop glare, like all of those.
I'm on the train, in the car, wherever, in an Uber after a wild night. Like I want to see every single one of those like
videos.
Yeah. So I think like for us, I think user generated content would be really awesome.
Yeah. But it's fun, and we're kind of just getting into that part. So I think that's where the fun happens. Like product development stuff, that was all like a learning curve and not as exciting for me.
Right.
But I'm about to enter like the cool stuff.
Yeah.
And scary, equally scary. Yeah, but I really appreciate you guys meeting with us and.
Pleasure.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks. Is there any other like questions I can answer for you or school you want to make up a little more?
I'm like at the bounds of my understanding, so I think about it. Does this get like patented, trademarked? How's that work?
Yeah, we do have a patent on the stack itself and the utility of the stack too. So theoretically, another brand can come in and create the stack for the same purpose.
Huge.
Yeah,
It
I
is.
actually didn't focus on the importance of patenting the idea. I was just like, that's like, it's like a rich person problem. They don't deal with that. And then I befriended a patent lawyer and he's like, I can patent that. And so it kind of was like happenstance and like luck. It's like, oh, okay, I met this really awesome person who's willing to help the brand. They really like what we're doing. And I think that was one of those moments of I don't know, it's a little bit of serendipity, but it's so important to our launch. I feel so much more confident talking about it now that there's protection around it. I think it's definitely important for the launch.
Cool.
Yeah.
And another thing, not pushing this super hard, but I do know a couple folks. We actually ran an Instagram event with some larger followings on Instagram. They're in the mommy blogger space, I would say. If you'd ever want introductions or pushing in that direction, we can try
100%.
to
Yeah.
make that happen.
Consider that a definite yes. That would be wonderful. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. Those online communities are so key
Mhm.
to especially if you're in the online space, like you need to create that. You need to create an engaging experience, and having a group of women kind of rally behind an idea and a vision is so important.
There was one girl that she went to Point Park, but like we were socially close to one another, and she's over. I think I'm not promising this whatsoever. They went down like the gym fitness route, but they've literally got like their own clothing line and over 300,000 followers. It's just insane.
Yeah,
that's like all they do now.
amazing.
That's all they do.
That's insane. And there is such a big. That was one of my like. There were like certain like use cases. I was like, okay, it'd be easy to kind of like launch the idea, and people getting ready at the gym. Like I did that for years. I would work out in the morning and then get ready at the gym and then just go to work from there. And oh my god, I wish I had the stack back then.
And in fact, that's like where our video starts for the Kickstarter video.
Yeah.
It's a lady at a gym, and you know, she's done with her workout, and she's like undoing her hair and trying to like make herself presentable for the rest of the day.
Yeah. So you get that. Yeah.
Nice.
What's this sticker?
Oh.
Yeah, I was wondering that too.
So I'm from New Zealand.
Really?
I'll explain the sticker in an accent. So I moved here when I was 15. So couple years ago now. So the sticker, this is actually New Zealand, and so I have it on my laptop.
Yeah, I was trying to place it. I was like, that's not a Caribbean island. Put it together.
Yeah, so I became an American citizen last year, so I have dual citizenship.
That's dope.
And I
Wow.
have 2 accents.
Which one did you use? No. Here, which one did you use for the Kickstarter video?
Well, it's funny, like everyone tells me I need to use my New Zealand accent, and like it's so like now when people know I'm from New Zealand, they're like, oh, if you talked in your in your New Zealand accent, you'd sell so many more stacks. And when I was a waitress, my managers would say like, if you had your accent, you'd make so much more tips. So they would, any like group of like dudes that would come into the restaurant, they would be like, go accent at a table, and they would like figure out if my tips would increase.
Yeah.
But then it would be like this situation where I would have a couple of tables here where I'm American and a table here where I'm Brazilian. And like it would get really, really confusing.
Yeah.
And there have been so many times where I just messed up and I would use my American accent, and they must have been like, who the hell is this woman?
Drinking more than I thought.
So I kind of like, okay, I gotta stick to like one accent.
Yeah. That's amazing.
And then like when I'm around my friends and family, well, when I'm around my family, and then if I'm around a British accent, Irish and South African, I cannot do my American accent.
Yeah.
So then like my boyfriend came to New Zealand with me over Christmas, and just like him and then like my family, like my brain was just like firing, like we don't know what to do. It would just be this weird hybrid like mix of stuff. And my brother is the same way. He moved with me when he was 8, and he moved back to New Zealand when he was 15, and now he's in Australia. So his accent is like even more messed up than mine, because his is like American, New Zealand, Australian, which unless you're from like one of those 2 other countries, you probably don't know the differences, but he sounds crazy. He sounds crazy.
So, it's probably like too much to unpacking briefly, but like psychologically, when you're flipping like that, like is it, I'm like not, we were saying a moment ago, like it's like doing a Kegel where like you could subtly do it as you're like around other people, but it's not actually taking that much mental strain to flip like that? Or is it something like once you get into it, you're into it?
So I kind of love that you asked that question, because it was something that I paid attention to really closely as it was happening.
Yeah.
So I was very purposeful in losing my accent. Because I was 15, I like moved to, a suburb in Pittsburgh in America, like not a lot of diversity.
Right.
And I didn't want to draw attention to myself. And the way I explained it was like, if I would say I would be like talking to people and be like, oh, my cat just died. you know, if you're speaking in an American accent to Americans, they'd be like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. If you're speaking in a Kiwi accent to Americans, they're like, oh my God, say it again. Like, and that's a really, really extreme example of like that's kind of how I felt. Like no one's listening to what I'm saying. They're listening to like how I'm saying it. And then I'd have to go into like, why am I from here? And it's just like, so I just wanted to be able to like kind of hide it when I could. So I was like very purposeful in changing my accent, and my parents, it was like the best time of their lives. They just thought it was hilarious because they'd listen to me and I'd be butchering words. Like I didn't know how to use the accents. I'd be like, yeah, let's order pizza, and like I just trying to figure out, like I knew there was hard R's on certain words, but I wasn't sure where they worked. And it took me like probably a year to like really figure it out. But at that time, my inner voice, so the voice that kind of would be like talking to me, would still be a Kiwi accent. And so it was interesting to pay attention to like when I lost that. And then, you know, when I would go back home to pick up on, it would feel more like I almost became a different person. Like I'd use different words, like more like words that I wouldn't typically use with this accent. So I love like this, like the psychological side of it, because I guess because I was paying attention to it that whole time, it's interesting what I run into.
Well, it's so interesting that you said that you like became a different person, because one of my ideas is like you're constrained by your vocabulary. Like you don't have a word for something, it's really hard to act it or believe it or see it in something else. And so the fact that you like I became a different person because I'm using it.
And when I was actually using my American accent and like being in this new school, and like there were a lot of cultural differences I was trying to like figure out, but I felt really dumb because there were words that I was kind of too young at the time to really understand. But not only were there words that I was used to using that I could no longer use in this environment, but there were spellings of words. Like all of a sudden I was misspelling a bunch of words and I felt like I was so dumb. But then it took years to realize like, oh, we use S a lot of times where you guys use a Z, or we call it a Z. Like just all these little things. Garage versus garage, like aluminum versus aluminium, like all these things. And it was just like, it was really hard on that, like to learn the different words to use. And then when I flip back, I'm like, oh, I haven't used this word in years. Like, where's that coming from? And it's like this, it's almost like a different mental space, you know? Yeah, it's really, really weird.
So,
yeah.
Got any more surprises for us?
I think Rachel promised me she was going to go bungee jumping if we,
On the record.
I kept that in the back of my pocket. There was a conversation over coffee, something about if we, you know, met the campaign goal within the first week, she was going to bungee jump.
Wow.
Well, call us and we'll document it.
Things I thought I forgot, like I forgot. All right. Yep. I said it. So. Why? This week is stressful enough.
And next week will be stressful, but for different reasons.
Because it'll be bungee jumping.
Well, we already got a place picked out.
Well, our video was going to include bungee jumping. We had like all these wild ideas when we first. And the campaign was supposed to be like in June, if you remember. I was thinking about that today. Like we met in the spring-ish, and it was going to be like the summer campaign, and like
Just kept putting it off. I mean, for good reason.
Yeah, they were just like, there was so much product stuff. I was trying to like still figure out product formulations. Thank God you stuck with me, because like I just realized it's been a really, really long road for something like this. But
I don't think so.
it hasn't felt too long.
I think it's the right amount of time. You can't just like rush into these things.
Yeah. It would be different product. Well, not different products, but it would be different if we launched in August. Yeah. So I don't think any more surprises.
We got 3, we're good.
It's 3 enough.